Hi everyone, my name is Lenny. Welcome to Simon Says Resell. I'm making this video more as a introductory or pre-introduction video to a series of videos that I'll be making very soon, really geared towards Amazon FBA fulfillment and also merchant fulfillment. And if you're not too sure what that means, I'll definitely get into it with you guys. But ultimately, I started getting into the Amazon world as far as reselling things, mainly books, and I guess I got pretty good at it. And I wanted to share my experiences, share my the issues I had along the way, and help you guys out as much as I can. So think of this as more like a how-to um, uh, video series, strictly geared toward Amazon FBA now. But I first started off in merchant fulfillment with Amazon and did pretty well, and then kind of did a little research and then got into fulfillment by Amazon. And it's been a pretty good ride. I started Amazon in general on November 11th of 2016, which isn't that long ago, and it's fairly recent actually. And then did merchant fulfill for a while, and then started to research more about FBA. I was a little hesitant at first because of the having to put labels on each book to send it to Amazon, and then actually, sending a bulk of books to Amazon. I thought about shipping and all this other stuff. So I was a little scared at first, but I did a lot more research, watched videos like this to get my confidence built up, and learned a whole bunch. I have to say, of my success, and you'll see the numbers pretty soon in this video, just to kind of give you a snapshot. But I learned everything that I know now from videos like this, and that means a lot to me because I enjoy learning. I enjoy the sharing the content that people do like I'm doing, and that's why I want to get involved and do that myself for you guys. So again, expect a series of videos strictly around Amazon FBA. And some fulfillment, or sorry, and some merchant fulfillment, because that's kind of how I got started. And I'm going to show you different topics, like what equipment to get to do Amazon or merchant or both, what supplies you need, what to expect, some of the fees, some of the pricing, some of the do's, some of the don'ts, what type of books to get, where to get them, how to kind of build the business model in a way where you don't have to be going to garage sales all the time, that you hire people to do that, and that's what I have done. I have about a little over half a dozen people that are book sourcing for me as we speak, and which doesn't require me to go anywhere, and which is great. So I have a lot of ideas about this Amazon FBA business that I started, and also how to register a business name. I'm currently in the process of getting an LLC. What company did I use to do that? All those things as well. But I also have some pretty interesting, I guess, visions on the horizon with all this stuff as well. Specifically, where do I go now? I'm doing so well on Amazon. How far can I push this? And I'm someone that, if I find something that either I'm good at or I understand very well and or is successful, I dig my teeth into it, and I go for it. So think of these videos as a series of how-to help videos to help people like you who maybe are thinking about going to Amazon or selling on Amazon, or maybe thinking about, or maybe already and kind of in a bit of a rut and need a little help. You may just want some extra money. All this really is for me is passive income. You do a lot of the work up front, but eventually you're looking at your phone a couple times a day and you're just seeing those books fly off the shelves, per se, and you're just laughing all the way to the bank. And people have said, books, why do you sell books? And they just don't understand there's a huge market in there. Books are very cheap to ship for the most part. Very little returns because there's no moving mechanical parts. They don't expire per se. So it's a no-brainer. Why not books? And I'll be giving you a bunch of pro tips along the way. Not that I consider myself a pro, but I guess it just sounds kind of cool. Like, for example, how do I know what books to sell? How do I know what books to pick? What prices do I set them at? All that information I'm going to give you. I'm going to make a series of videos specific to those topics so they're nice and organized. So if you need to know something, you just pop into that video, watch it. I'll keep them as short as possible, maybe on average, 8 to 10 minutes or so. I'll do screenshots, I'll do videos, screen sharing, whatever I have to do to help you guys out. Please comment if you have any questions specifically about Amazon FBA or Amazon in general, selling on Amazon, for example. Ask away. Ask questions. If you say, "Hey, Lenny, can you do a video on what you did for this?" or "How do I do that?" Maybe I don't have a video on that yet, so I'll create one. Very simple. So I'm also a newbie. I'm not a professional, but I find that's a good thing and a bit of I guess a plus and a bonus for people that are starting off, because yeah, I may not have been doing this for the past 10 years, but I'm doing it right now, and that's when you're doing it, not 5 years ago when maybe someone else started off and they had their ways of doing things, and it probably hasn't been that much different, but Amazon changes their rules and regulations all the time. Pricing's a little bit different. New apps come out. There's tons of apps that I reviewed and picked one that I really like, and there's reasons for that, and I'll make a video just on that as well. There's an inventory software that does all my inventory, keep my accounting. Besides the Amazon one, there's an Amazon seller portal, you can call it, or Seller Central that they call, that you pretty much see everything Amazon related to your sales and everything in there, which is super awesome, and it helps out a lot, and it's great to have. But there's not that much of an accounting piece to it, or there may be a little more accounting that you want to do. So then there's other apps, and there's QuickBooks and stuff like that, which I can get into later. But ultimately, this is like a pre-intro video to kind of get you guys pumped, because I'm super pumped, and I really want to help you guys out. So please comment below, hit the like button if there's something you like. Feel free to ask anything you want in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll answer any questions you may have. I also have just a few videos that I want to show you. I pre-recorded them just to get the screenshot capture going, because I'm still trying to figure out what the best screen capture software is, but I'm a pretty technical person, and I think I should be able to figure it out. But I have some screenshots for you guys, mainly showing you some of my sales. I'm a very humble person. I don't like to brag about myself, but I at least want to show you some kind of hard sales there to see kind of my success and my progression, and so I'm not just thinking I'm some random guy doing a video just to get attention, which I'm not. I'm just a normal guy. I have a wife. I have 2 little girls. One's 7, one's 4. I have another girl on the way. My wife is pregnant in April, so we're very excited about that. I live in Miami. I'm a senior IT network security engineer. I've been in IT for 20 years, so I know computers, I know networking, I know security. So I'm a techie. I'm the tech guy of the family. I get calls all the time. Hey, Lenny, can you fix this? Hey, Lenny, can you fix that? Of course, why not? So I'm a very normal guy, very laid back. People call me reserved at times, but my main job is a network security engineer. I also have a couple other part-time jobs where I'm an adjunct professor at some universities, teaching IT-related stuff. So I'm busy, but I have time to do videos like this because I really felt I wanted to give back to the community. My experiences, my downfalls, what not to do. And I love helping people. As an adjunct professor, I teach students. I teach senior level courses at universities, and I love it. I love talking to them. I help them out with career advice. If anyone watching has, an IT background or wants to get into IT, security or just regular IT like, network administration or system admin, stuff like that, I'll talk to you as much as you want. I can talk until, my voice goes about, career opportunities. I have over 24 technical certifications. I have a master's degree in management information systems with a concentration in information security. So, technical, yes. I also have some business background, but again, that's just a little bit about me. I'll get more into, kind of, where I was, where I came from, kind of, and how I started with Amazon, where I am now, and where I want to be. But before I let you guys go, I record like 2 or 3 little videos of my sales so far, and I'm recording this right now. It's January 18th. I started this on November 11th. Just keep that in mind. I started from the November 11th of 2016. I did merchant fulfillment, which means I fulfill the products myself. I list them on Amazon, but I fulfill them myself in my house with my own packaging and my own tape, and I physically go to the USPS store and ship them out. I did that from the 11th of November to about December 7th or 8th. So about a month or so I did merchant fulfilled. And then I actually stopped completely. I had about 300 books on Amazon store on December 8th, and I completely took all of them offline for a good reason. On December 8th, I sold about 49 or so books, a merchant fulfilled, in a few weeks, which is amazing. So I started to see, this is something I can probably do. It's working out. I'm getting it. But then I looked at Amazon FBA, what's the big hype about it? People are saying, you got to do it, guys. You got to do it. And the reason why I say that is because you don't have to worry about shipping once it sells. You don't have to worry about customer service. You don't have to worry about all those little things I had to worry about as a merchant. Now, don't get me wrong. Merchant Fulfilled is awesome. I really enjoyed it. I recommend maybe doing that if you can first. That's how I did it. Do merchant fulfill first, get your feet wet, get familiar with the different processes and the platforms and kind of what the fees are, and then jump into FBA. And I think that's an easier transition than just maybe starting off FBA, because there's a huge learning curve. But again, watching videos like this will help you with both sides, the merchant or fulfillment, Amazon. So what I was getting at is I took all my inventory off around December 8th because I was looking at Amazon FBA and I was seeing, I was comparing prices, a book sold on merchant. I then would compare that same book on FBA. I can sell that book for more money and make more net profit if I did FBA. So I was actually losing money selling on merchant fulfillment for the most part. I mean, not like a huge amount, but some of my books I could have earned double the amount of money on Amazon FBA. So I tried to sign up for Amazon FBA on the 10th of December, but what I didn't know after I tried to sign up for it is Amazon came up with a big message saying, if you haven't shipped your first FBA shipment since October 16th or so, you have to wait until December 19th. Reason is because the holidays, and the reason is because I'm a new seller. So they won't allow new sellers to send their FBA shipments in if you don't ship them in at a certain time right around the holidays. So that's what happened to me, which was a good and bad thing. And the graphs I'm going to show you, you'll find them pretty interesting. You'll see a graph that starts off with my merchant fulfilled sales, and then it just flatlines. And then my Amazon fulfillment sales, which I am now. And the flat line is me just taking everything offline and just cutting it off. That was a difficult decision to make, to decide to do that, because I was doing so well with merchant. I'm like, wow, this is going pretty well. Now I got to take everything offline. So I made all my products inactive, which takes them offline, meaning they're not sellable. They're there in the catalog, but they're not going to be shown on the website. So I did that mainly because I saw more potential with Amazon FBA. And I took everything off. I waited between the 8th and the 19th of December. What I did was I grabbed every single book I possibly could, whether it was a garage sale, a thrift store, wherever, Goodwills, and I'll go into all those places in separate videos. I hustled like crazy, asking people in my neighborhood for books, got as many books as I can. I even bought a pallet, or they call it Gaylord of books, which is a huge pallet of books, which I have pictures of for you to show you in a later video. So you can probably fit between 8 to 1,200 books in a pallet. I bought one of those just for the hell of it. I think I paid $200 for it, which, thinking about it now, it's still a good deal, but it was a kind of a bust, and not that much of a bust, and I'll explain why in a later video. But I bought thousands of books, or 1,000 books or so, and just kind of getting as many books as I could, and I'll explain that process. So I kind of was trying to get myself prepared for the 19th of December. So as soon as that 19th hit, I was pretty much ready to go. I also, between that time, got all the supplies I needed for Amazon FBA. You need a label maker for the product labels. You need to print out shipping labels for the boxes. you need maybe some supplies to get stickers off the books, and a scale, a postal scale that can hold, mine's like 110 pounds. I'll give you guys a link to it later in another video, but these are little things you need. It wasn't that much of a cost, really. I mean, and maybe some paper, I forget what they call it, draft paper, to kind of crumple up and put in the boxes so the books don't flop around. So it wasn't a whole lot of stuff, but it was still, expenses, and you have to put that into the business. So there's obviously costs, but not that much. It doesn't cost thousands of dollars to start doing this. I don't want to say a price on how much you actually could get started with Amazon FBA or even fulfillment merchant fulfillment just yet, because I don't want to lead you guys down the wrong path. But it's not a lot at all. And there's ways to kind of get things at a discounted price and to maybe cut some corners with some costs as well. For example, I went to the dollar store and got a box full of the envelope, shipping envelopes. I don't know what you call them. I have one upstairs I can get later for $1. And I went to Office Depot and they were selling them for $3 a piece or $4 a piece. So obviously I did pretty well there. But I took all my books offline. The 19th came around. I had my first order. I sent probably 100 or so books the first time. Took about 2 days to get to Charlotte, which is one of their distribution centers. And then about a week or so from that point is when I started seeing my items show up as active. Obviously, before I ship the books, I list everything on Amazon. So they're already there in their catalog, but they're not active yet. They're not available to be sold until Amazon receives them and sets them to active themselves. So there's a whole process behind that, and I'll explain it. But geez, just all this stuff I've learned so quickly in such little time, and that's just the nature of me. I kind of have a passion for research. Part of my job is research, so I think I'm pretty good at it, and I learn things pretty quickly. But I learned so much about Amazon and how things work that I'm doing pretty well at it. And again, these series of videos are really how-to videos to kind of get you set up for Amazon. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. And please, leave some comments below. Hit the like button if it's something you like and you want to hear more of. And keep staying tuned for a second. I want to show you some videos just of some of my sales and kind of the interesting story of it's interesting. It's an interesting graph because one side you see merchant fulfilled, then you see a flat line, and then you see Amazon fulfillment, and it's just my story kind of lines up based on that. So. And guys, this is not a scam. This is something that's totally legit. Something that is possible to do. If you're a student, if you're just lost a job, if you're a single parent, if you have some spare time, this is something you totally can do. I have several book scouters that I've hired as independent contractors. Some of them are single parents. Some of them just lost their jobs. Some of them are students, and they're doing pretty well. I pay them for the books that they get based on the app that I give them, and they scan the book, and the app basically tells them yes or no. So I set up filters for them. There's a whole process around it. So I don't want to spoil too much, but keep holding on. I have a couple videos to show you within this video. I'm just going to cut off of this, and you'll start seeing the videos. And until next time, and thank you again. My name is Lenny. Simon Says Resell. Resell those books, resell those things. I sell mainly books, but I also sell toys and things that I find elsewhere. But more on that later. Stay tuned for the videos. Guys, so as promised, I wanted to show you some stats on my sales. What's interesting about this graph is, as I mentioned before, I started on November 11th, which, as you can see, the date starts there, and it's going up until today, when I'm recording this video, which is January 18th of 2017, or 2017. As you can see from the graph on the bottom, it starts to climb a bit. You got some sales there, then it dips, and it goes up and down, kind of has a good ride there. And then you notice around the 8th it just stops, and then it picks up again right around the 19th or so, or the 20th or so, and then kind of winds up where I am now. This is a great graph because it actually shows you both my merchant fulfilled and my Amazon fulfilled kind of progress. Of the graph here on the left, that is my merchant fulfilled. That's kind of when I first started on the 11th, when I said I did. and then I kind of was learning the system, learning how to do things, and this was all merchant fulfilled. If I try to do the graph again in a second, I'll try to see if I can focus on just merchant fulfilled. I think it's about maybe 35 or 40 sales within a few weeks, because that's the first few weeks of December, or that's a few weeks in November. Sorry. But either way, you can see that I think I was doing pretty well based on being new to this. And then what I did is I realized that FBA was a possibility. I was first a little hesitant because the whole putting a label on each book and shipping and all that to Amazon, I really wasn't familiar with it. So I kind of started with merchant to kind of get my feet wet. And then I did a lot more research and I realized, this is something I can do. So what I did is I tried to sign up for FBA, but since I was a new seller and because I started on the 11th, excuse me, of November, I couldn't send my FBA orders in because I was a new seller. They have restrictions, and as you probably noticed, this is right around the holidays. So they basically said if you're a new seller and you haven't shipped anything by October 16th or so, you have to wait until December 19th. So I was in that window, unfortunately. So around the 8th there of December, as you can see here, I made a decision to take all my inventory. I had about 300 books at that point. All my inventory off of my Amazon store, fulfilling by merchant, because I was getting sales. What I noticed is if I took off the inventory and waited until I can ship to Amazon, I'd actually make more money because you can sell your prices a lot higher than merchant fulfilled. Because I was selling, and I'm like, well, wait, yeah, okay, I made $5 here, $20 there, $10 here, and this is net profit, by the way. I actually can make a lot more if I did FBA. So I made the business decision to stop, take everything offline, and just wait. So between the 8th and let's say the 19th or so, my main mission was just to collect books. Every book I can find, Goodwill, thrift stores, garage sales, everything like that. I went ahead and just hustled as much as I could. And then on the 19th, I was ready to go. I already had books kind of prepared. What I did between the 8th and the 19th or so is I got all the equipment I needed for FBA, and I'll actually be doing a video on that, or a couple of videos on kind of the supplies that you need, the supplies that I got, and kind of in general what you would need to help you guys out to kind of build this up and be successful. So this is a great graph to show you kind of what my adventure has been. Right on one side of the fence there's merchant, and on the other there's FBA. You can see my sales have increased on the right, or the number of units ordered has increased on the right, for a few reasons. One, FBA does tend to sell a little bit faster than merchant, from what I've seen. Two, I had a lot more books in inventory by the first of the year, and I'll go into that later on in another video. But here I only had about 300 books, and on the other side I had, at this point on the 4th, probably 6, 7, 800 books. Right now, on the 18th, I have a little over 1,200 books and climbing. So you can see the sales are going up. Holidays did not help at all, as you can see, but things are looking good now. So as you can see, 170 order or items sold since the very beginning. So this is merchant and Amazon. I'm going to see if I can find another graph here that shows you just my merchant fulfilled orders. Okay, so here's another graph. As you can see in the very top here under fulfillment channel, you have a few options. You have seller, which is merchant. You have Amazon, which is FBA, and you have both, which combines both. The first graph I showed you, the first kind of video, was both, to show you kind of both sides of the fence, per se. This one's very interesting. As you can see, it's under seller, which means my merchant fulfillment. And again, start on the 11th or so, and I had a total of 49 sales. Product sales were about a little over $1,400. And average sales order was pretty high. It was $29, almost $30. Now the interesting thing about this is the books that I was selling were books kind of that I found around my house. I am an IT guy. I'm into IT security, so I had a lot of books in the security and the IT kind of topic or genre, and they were worth some pretty good money, and they were fairly recent. I don't know how much I paid for them, but I wasn't using them anymore. I didn't need them anymore. Ultimately, who knows how much money I profited from them, since I probably bought them, from Amazon at one point, or who knows where. But I didn't need them anymore. It would be nice to get some money for them, whether it's more than I bought them for, or a break even, or even if I lose some money. Really wasn't worried about it. I was kind of testing the waters with some decent books, and this is kind of what happened. This was definitely exciting for me. This was the moment where I was like, maybe I'm doing something right here. Maybe this is something that can work. And this was strictly merchant fulfilled. And I'll go into a video separately on kind of what differences are between merchant and Amazon fulfilled. But to kind of sum it up, merchant fulfilled, what I had to do was I had to keep inventory in my house or wherever you want, a storage facility, but in this case it was my house, and I would list the books I want to sell, list them just like it doesn't matter if it's FBA or merchant, you pretty much list them the same way with a few minor details which I can get to later. Then you wait, and once the item sells, you get an email, you get an alert, and you have about 24 hours or so to fulfill that via merchant, which is you. And I then have to pick the book off the shelf, make sure the book's decent. There's no papers in there that I may have missed from notes or something like that. But ultimately, the book's ready to go, and I have to buy packing material, which the little envelopes. I'll show you guys a picture of those later. I had to buy tape, had to buy labels for the shipping, and then had to physically go somewhere and drop it off or put it in my mailbox. And at first it was super exciting because I was actually doing something that looked like it was working. But if you think about it, 49 times I had to go somewhere, or maybe half that, because sometimes I would kind of wait to the end of the day and see how many sales I got, fulfill those at night, and the next morning on the way to work I would drop them off at a UPS store, or a USPS store, or somewhere like a pack mail that does a couple shipping services, kind of an all-in-one type deal. So yeah, it was super exciting, but it was a lot of work. If you think about it, like I would be at work, doing my primary job, which is an IT security engineer, and I would get emails and text message notifications that, oh, I got a sale. I was super excited. But then at the end of the day, I had 10 sales in one day. I'm like, this is awesome. But then I have to go home and fulfill them after a long day at work. And it was exciting, but also tough. It was kind of bittersweet. So I then looked more into FBA to kind of see, what and if that's the best next step. And I decided to go that route. But this is just, I wanted to show you guys a good kind of example on how merchant fulfilled works, or at least can be successful. And if those of you who really can't do FBA for whatever reason, that's fine. I know people that just do strictly merchant because they want to brand things a bit more. They want to they just don't like the FBA because they do take off some fees. For example, FBA will take about 40% of your sale for the most part. So we can get into the numbers later, but that's kind of the downside of it. You have to pay a little bit of a premium. However, what is included in that is a lot of the marketing. You already have a platform that millions and millions of people look at, so it's kind of a no-brainer to go FBA. Plus, you don't have to worry about shipping. They handle the customer service. It's great. So merchant is fantastic as well if that's something you want to do. My recommendation, to probably start off merchant first to see if you can do it, and this is something you want to do. It will be a little tough in the beginning because you have to fulfill things yourself. There is a bit of a learning curve with FBA, which I will get into as detailed as I possibly can to help you guys kind of get to FBA. And that's kind of why I'm doing these series, is to make sure you guys have the tools and at least the videos, and who knows, I already have thoughts of making an ebook on everything, step by step, all the different topics, things like that. So I wanted to show you this real quick, my merchant experience, and I'm going to stop the video here and kind of show you my just strictly FBA experience. All right, now we are looking at the FBA fulfillment channel as far as my statistics go. As you can see, the graph starts around um, what should be, I sent in my first batch on the 19th, and it probably got there a couple days later. Usually takes about 2 days. What was interesting about this is for when you fulfill by Amazon, you ship it to one or multiple of their fulfillment centers or their distribution centers and fulfillment centers. I got lucky in the beginning because I was only sending to one. It's kind of up to Amazon for the most part. As you kind of get your inventory ready to ship, they tell you where it should go to. And luckily, mine was going to, I believe, Charlotte. But from what I did, some research that I did, I don't believe Charlotte is a uh, fulfillment center for the most part. It's more of a distribution center. So you ship to them in Charlotte, and then they reship it somewhere else, which is interesting because it only takes about 2 days from where I am in Miami for it to get to Charlotte, which is kind of fast in my opinion, ground. But then you're not ready yet, or then you're not ready to go yet. Your items aren't active until they say it's active. So what will happen is some of my inventory will get well, most of it will get reshipped, and then I have to wait longer. So they usually say once you ship it to wait about 7 to 14 days until it becomes active, which makes sense because they reship things all over the country for various reasons. They may want to just ship more books that are a certain genre to some other fulfillment center because more books like that come out of that fulfillment center or whatever the reason is. I don't know, but all I do know is my stuff is reshipped. And the cool thing about it, there is a way to tell from Amazon in your Amazon Seller Central site, your portal, um, what items are being shipped for the most part or reshipped. And also when you make a sale and all your sales, there's a way to look at all the warehouses they ship from. So all I see is Charlotte. But when I looked at my sales, I had at least, I think my first 40 or 50 sales for Amazon FBA, which you're seeing here, shipped from at least 12 different warehouses, which I had no idea they were even in until I ran that report. So I can do a video on that for you guys later if you wanted to. But I just wanted to show you here my FBA experience. Since, let's say I send everything out on the 19th, my first sale I think was on the 23rd or so. So since the 23rd of last year, which again was not too long ago, this is what I've done. I've done over $2,200 in sales. So let me just open up my calculator here real quick. Sorry I didn't have this ahead of time. So if I multiply that by 60%, I'm looking at about a little over $1,300 net profit from that I would get after all the FBA fees. Now there are some other fees, of course, that aren't in that $1,300 or so. There's shipping to Amazon fees, which is depending on, they do it by pound. So usually I think when I shipped to Charlotte I was getting charged 33 cents a pound, which isn't terrible. And also the cost of the book itself, the cost of items sold. So if I paid $1 a book and I sold $121 and just 121 books, shave off $121 off of that, and that's kind of how much I had left. So let's say roughly $2,000. No, let's say roughly of the 1,300, I would shave off $200. So let's say $1,100 in profit so far, give or take. So you kind of get the idea. But I'll go into more on how to break up the pricing and the fees and stuff like that. But the product sales is overall sales. That doesn't mean that's how much I made in my pocket and that's how much I keep. Again, there's Amazon fees, there's shipping fees along with the Amazon fees, and there's the cost of the actual item that you paid for. So it's a little complicated at first, but it actually isn't too difficult once you kind of understand it and kind of do this for a little bit. And you actually get smarter along the way. You try to find books and whatever you're selling cheaper, so you can make more money. That's kind of the ultimate thing: is you buy cheap and you sell high. And that's kind of how this deal really is. But what I want to get into with you guys as well is I want to explain to you a little bit more about this process, kind of a little more where I came from. Again, this is more just a pre-introduction video. I know it's a lot of information at first, and I'm a very humble person. I don't like to brag. I'm not really bragging here. I'm just explaining kind of, what to look forward to, I guess. If you maybe follow my steps or, come up with your own steps, that's perfectly fine too. So I just wanted to show you this graph real quick, and so you get an idea of the FBA side of things. All right, this last and final graph, just wanted to show you a month-to-date graph and statistics of my sales since the first of the year. And remember how how I explained it, or tried to, or maybe still have to explain it, is I started Amazon FBA 19th of December. That's when I sent out my first shipment, which was I think maybe 150 books or so. They got to Charlotte in 2 days, and it took them about a week and a half for them to kind of settle into where they were supposed to be, their new homes and whatever fulfillment center they have to be in. And this kind of just shows you of the first of the year, kind of that's when I believe when my book started to kind of stop shipping from Amazon. They kind of settled and where they should be. So that's why I kind of did this month-to-date thing. So since the first of the month to the 18th, which is today, these are how many orders. This is how much sales I've made, and average sales price is $18.54, which isn't bad at all. And the books included in here are all different types of books. They aren't just technical books. They are everything. Cookbooks, self-help books, how-to books, and that's another thing I want to go into as well with you guys is what type of books to get, what type of books to focus on, what books sell, what books don't. So I'll have a whole video or a couple videos just dedicated to that for sure. But again, just wanted to show you kind of another dimension into the sales to see kind of how I'm doing. And again, I only started FBA on the 19th of December. I've been doing merchant since the 11th of November, so it hasn't even been a few months maybe since I started this. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine if I just can keep up with things. My biggest fear is running out of inventory. So finding all these different channels to get inventory, these different resources, different sourcing areas to kind of keep the books coming in. And I have a lot of information to explain to you guys and to tell you guys to kind of how I've done it, and it's been pretty successful. So I'm really excited to kind of show you guys that, but just wanted to show you this. Alright guys, so there you have it. There's some videos to show you kind of my sales and how I started and where I am now. Now as you can see, there's lots of potential. I just started this November 11th. Did merchant for about a month, got my feet wet, stopped for a week or so, and then started up Amazon FBA, and been doing that since the 19th of December, and it's the 18th now. So wow, it's just thought about that. It's just about a month since I started Amazon FBA, and you can see how many sales that I've generated, around 2,000 or so. And I have a lot more to go through. I have books piled up to scan and get shipping to Amazon. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, this is more of a pre-intro to kind of give you an idea of what's to come. Expect a series of videos, expect just me helping you out. And again, hit the like button, put some comments in, see what your thoughts are. If you have any videos or any questions that you want me to do or provide or create, let me know. I am here. Again, my name is Lenny. Simon Says Resell. So let's get to it.